I'm Alison Lampton with the City of Greater Dandenong, and welcome to this special mini-series crossover with QuickArts and creativeRISE. Let's talk about hanging systems. If you need your artwork to go into an exhibition or a competition, or you are lucky enough to have your work hanging in a gallery, you are going to need to have a hanging system on your artwork. We are going to go through a really simple step of where to align your hooks, what kind of hooks you are going to need for different situations, and I'm going to take you through the lark's head knot, also known as the cow's knot, as to put your wire on those hooks. All right, I have got just a simple stretch canvas, no canvas or linen stretched on there at the moment. This system of hanging is pretty standard, and you're going to be able to put that whether it's on board or a flat bit of surface that's got linen glued to it. Regardless of what it is, you'll be able to use this system that I'm about to show you. First of all, figure out which is the top. I'm going to use it as a portrait shaped at the moment and just pretend that this is the top of my canvas. But obviously, if your painting was a landscape shaped orientation painting, you would make sure that you know which is the top. The reason you want to know that is you're going to have to measure the length of your two sides. This helps gives us the measurement of where our hooks are going to be placed. So I've already measured these. This is a 40 centimetre side stretcher frame, and I'm going to place it at about 13 centimetres. So the third is actually 13.3, but let's round it up to 13. So take my ruler, take it from the top, and I'm going to mark where 13 is at the back of my stretcher frame. And if you really just need to, write the word top of your canvas, because obviously when you've got the painting and it's on the front and it's face down, if it gets rotated, you just may actually forget which one's the top and which one's the bottom. So I've measured my third of the way down. So normally when I'm selecting my hooks that I'm going to screw into these marker points at the back of my canvas, I tend to just be really happy with these little triangular hooks. They actually come in little kits from most hardware shops, and the screws are usually included in them. They do carry quite a fair bit of weight, so they're really fine to use even for something larger than this stretcher I've got here on the table. And even if I am sending artwork off to maybe a competition, or especially if I'm just giving them out as a gift, these are more than adequate. However, if you are entering competitions, I do highly recommend that you read the fine print. There are a lot of exhibiting bodies, galleries, with certain competitions, they will specifically ask you for D-rings. These are what is considered a D-ring, and you can kind of tell that because it's a straight edge and then it has the belly of a D. That's why they're called a D-ring. These will actually be positioned at the same location, 1/3 down from the top of your painting. They get positioned at the same location where that D is, but quite often you are not required to have a wire. The reason why a D-ring is usually preferred by larger sort of mainstream galleries is because they have their own hook system on their walls, and they will literally just hook it straight to here, instead of having a wire system that has many little D-rings or triangles, and then having that as a hook on a wall, which is sort of what we'd be used to seeing on our own house walls when we're hanging things. So these are known as the D-ring. Again, they actually do come in small little kits from the average hardware shop, but I do find these really sufficient for what we're doing. Okay, so this is why we're doing it. This is where we're going to place it. Now I'm just going to secure these, and I'm going to take you through how to actually secure your wire. So I have got some nice good thick wire. This does come in various thicknesses. It does depend on the size and the weight of your artwork to help you determine which sort of thickness of wire. Clearly, a really thin wire, you're not going to have a huge, 1 metre square canvas hanging off it. This is slightly thicker. It's probably a bit too thick for this, but I just have a nice big roll of it, so I'm going to use it for this smaller canvas anyway. I do use an electric drill when I'm putting these in, but because the wood is not like a hard wood, you could use a hand Phillips head screwdriver. I just sort of like the electric one because it's a power tool and it's quicker. You will see with these triangle hooks, one, which is the back, is slightly flatter and the front has a bevel up. So just make sure that you are placing it down with the back side, the flatter side, down onto the wood at that level that you've marked your third of the way down. And just gently screw in. Repeat to the other side. Now we have the 2D hooks or the triangle hooks at our third of the way down. I have already pre-cut some wire and I've made sure I have cut it so it extends well beyond, because this is where we want to do that wonderful lark's head knot. I'm just going to rotate this so it's facing me and makes it a bit easier. Here's for the knot section. I will take it really nice and slow and try and explain as I go, because it can get a little tricky as to where you feed everything through. Start from the inside, feed it towards you, so feed your end towards you. Give it a bit of a bend. You're going to wrap the tail end, you're going to wrap it behind. See how it's going behind the main string? Then now you're going to feed the wire from the front to the back. See how it's going from the front through the triangle to the back? Now, before I pull it straight out, I want to bring it back through this loop that I had just made. See how it's now coming on top, out to the front? Wire is a lot stiffer than string, but that's a really good thing because it stays firm. So you're just going to have to just gently push and pull the wire. So what you end up with is the tail and the main wire length towards the front of this back loop. The reason we like to use this particular knot, the lark's head knot, it actually has many other names as well, but I just know it as the lark's head knot, is because the more tension that this main string gets, the tighter that knot becomes, so it's not going to fall apart. So you can keep working it so it becomes really, really tight, just to firm up that loop knot. To finish it off, wrap the wire tail around. And if you're concerned about anything sharp, just put a bit of tape over it and then you repeat to the other side. Again, feed the tail from the inside towards you. This is where you need to assess how much wire you're leaving. So pull it towards you. And what you want to do, so this is the third measurement, third way from the top. You want to halve that. So it ends up being about a sixth. So just move your thumb until that wire halves that distance to be about a sixth of the length. And that tells you when to bend your tail in. This is the only part of the wire that you need, and we can cut this excess off in a minute. So now we know the length of our actual hanging wire. We're going to do that lark's head knot again. So we've fed the tail towards us. We're going to bend it behind the main wire. Feed it from the front to the back. Now remember, it's now got to come on top of this loop. Feed it back on top of the loop. So again, what we now have is the tail and the main wire at the front of this loop. And again, to finish it off, wrap it around. I'll cut that bit off. And you can just cover it with some tape, and that just sort of allows it to be a little bit safer, so no one's going to sort of scratch themselves on the wire. You can just cut that end off. Give it a bit of a pull. That gives you about a 1/6. That's a 1/3. That allows your picture to hang almost flat. I will give you a little bit of a hint and a bit of a tip trick to sort of finish up with. Do your hanging wire at the very start. I would normally have stretched some lovely sort of linen or canvas onto this. This is our example of our raw linen. I would normally have had that stretched onto it. But before you do a primer or a ground, before you paint your magnificent artwork onto it, I highly recommend you do your actual hanging system first. The reason why is that even when you put a primer on, or you're just starting your painting process, it gives you something to hang your artwork out the way while it's drying. If you do all your lovely artwork first, you have to wait for that to completely dry before you can lay it flat and then do this hanging system. So start with that, and then you've got something easy to hang and dry your artwork on. Thank you so much for watching this special mini-series part of the crossover QuickArts and creativeRISE. Hope that was really helpful for you and that now you are feeling really comfortable and prepared to do your own hanging system, and of course knowing that you're also going to do it before you actually start your painting. Happy arting.